In this video, we are going to talk about a particular problem statement discussed in one of the public forums. The proposed solution is implemented using Flow, and we will see in detail about the problem statement and then see how Flow can be used to solve this problem statement. So the problem statement briefly, it's unable to show contact email on task view. So this is the uh, these are the things that we will learn or we will use at the time of creating the flow. We will be creating a record triggered flow, and then we will use decision element. We will use query record get element get elements get element data element to get data from the database. All such things we will do it. Yeah, and this is the actual business use case or the problem statement. So the problem statement is this. So the sales members in an organization, all the members have been using Salesforce Tasks feature to track and manage tasks in the platform. Very common thing, right? And this is especially used for follow-up tasks, right, on customer contacts or leads, prospects, etc. So right now we have a default task view in Salesforce, which is this. Yeah, so if you go to the task, and then if you want to see all the open tasks in one go, you can just see this, right? You can able to add or remove fields that are needed and not needed, isn't it? So one of the asks is this. So they would like to see the contact or a lead email added as a field or a column in the list view. So right now, for example, if you see, there are a couple of tasks, for this contact author song, and there is a particular task, against the contact Andy Eng, so as Bertha Boxer, right? So the idea is. In this particular row, we wanted to, or in this particular list view, the ask is to introduce a new column or a field, to show the associated email address. So for author and the associated email address is this. Yeah. So for Andy Eng, this is the associated email. For Arthur Song, this is the associated email, right? So basically, the expectation is to show a specific field that will show the corresponding email. But out of the box, it is not possible in Salesforce. If you go and then try to add fields, you don't find any field with with that shows email, of the corresponding contact or a lead. And it's acceptable because this particular column that holds the relate that holds contact or the lead ID, right? It's a polymorphic field in Salesforce. So let's take a look at how the data is stored in Salesforce first. Then we'll come back and then talk more about the business use case. So this is the expected output. So this is how the sales team members would like to see a column in open task, so that against the corresponding contact or a lead, the email is also shown, right? So back in the database, right? So what happens is when a task is created, yeah, Salesforce will store the ID of the contact or the lead in a polymorphic field. The name is whoId. Yeah, it does not store anything else other than any other details other than the ID of the record. If it is a contact record, it just shows the contact ID. If it is a lead record, it stores the lead ID. Yeah, that's how Salesforce manages. So unless we introduce a specific custom field which will hold the corresponding contact email or lead email, we cannot show a new field up in the task, because the task can be created against an account, right, or against other standard objects as well. So we have to do some additional work to bring this contact email back in the system as a column in the open tasks. So that is where flow comes into the picture. Okay, so now let's go back to the use case again. Yeah, right now the system is not showing the field to include in the list view, which is acceptable because it's a polymorphic field. So the team is seeking help from the Salesforce admin to help in this regard. So Salesforce admin, of course, says it is possible, and it can be achieved using a flow. Let's see how we can able to do that. So to accomplish this, yeah, so we are going to introduce a new field, a custom field on the task object. Of course, we cannot directly add custom field on the task object. What we have to do is we have to do it at the activity object level, right? So if you go to object manager and if you look for activity, this is where you add fields, and I have just added a new field with the name contact email, and this is the API name. So this is the when you add a field in the contact in the activity, right? So you can able to use that field both in events and tasks, right, in Salesforce. So that's the first thing that we are going to do, and then we're going to create a flow, and this is how the flow will look like. So looking at the design steps, back in the flow, what we are planning to do is whenever a task is created, we're going to check if the task is related to a contact or a lead. If yes, we're going to find if it is a contact task or a lead task. If it is a contact task, then we're going to use that whoId. So this is where you have the ID, right? So we're going to use this whoId field to find the related contact email. If it is a lead task, we're going to find the related lead email and then update that task, the new custom field that we created, right, to hold the email. So this is what we're going to do it as the last step. So a very simple flow is what we're going to create, but understanding the problem statement, understanding the limitations in Salesforce, and then converting that into a possible solution is what matters here. Yeah. So now, the problem statement and the solution, should be clear, I believe. So let's move forward. Let's build this flow and then see how this happens. Okay. So let's go back to the Salesforce. Let's first create a new flow. And this flow is going to be a record trigger flow because we wanted to run this flow when a task is created or updated. Yeah. So I'll just choose the object task. So this flow needs to run in both the conditions, right? Created or updated. Yeah. Let me just skip this entry conditions and let's go with fast field updates. Why fast field updates? If you remember the thumb rule. So if you're trying to update a field that is residing on the same object that is triggering the flow, go with this fast field updates. This is equal to before save. Yeah. And or anything else, right? If you're going to update some other create a new record on a different object or update a different object record, right? Then go with this after save, which is actions and related records. Yeah. In this case, this custom field is on the task object. So let me go with this fast field updates. Good. And then we're gonna first check whether the task is related to a contact or lead, right? So for which we're going to use this whoId. Let's first introduce a decision, introduce a decision box, okay, or element. So check if um, contact or lead task. Just say contact or lead task. Yeah. And we'll just say this is a contact task. And we'll just say if the record that is triggering the flow, the record has got whoId, right? So if this whoId is not null, is false. Okay, that's the first thing. Okay, which means this is a task related to either contact or lead, correct? So now, so this is the first thing. And how do we know whether a contact is whether the task is related to a contact or a lead? Because there is no way to distinguish, isn't it? So if you look at it, it is just the ID. How do we know whether this Salesforce ID is a contact ID or a lead ID? And this is where we are going to make use of Salesforce standard object prefix. So I'll just quickly show you what it is. Yes, I'm going to take you to yeah, an article published on Salesforce Ben website, and this clearly gives you a nice table that say that that helps us to understand what is the prefix used in Salesforce for each standard object. So if you look at it, for account, the prefix is 001. For contact, the prefix is 003. Let's cross check. If we go back to the record, so as you can just see this particular record, right, for the author song, so the prefix is 003. So if you take any contact record, and then look at the first three digits or first three characters, right, you will just see it starts with 003. And if you take a look at any lead record in Salesforce, the first three characters you will find 00Q, which you'll also find right here. So this is what we're going to make use of, right, to find whether the task is related to a contact or a lead. Let's see how we can able to do that. So now we just added a condition, just checks whether the whoId field is not null or empty. Yeah. And next one is we'll just use the same whoId. This time we'll just use contains. If it contains 003, I believe that's the prefix for contact. Yeah, 003. Then we can safely assume that this task is related to a contact. Yeah. So we'll just say and condition. We'll just say this is the um, you know this is the condition, and let's introduce the new one for the lead task. And same condition, record dot whoId, if this is not null, okay, and if the whoId contains 00Q, then it must be a task related to a lead, otherwise the default outcome is none. That's it. Now you will have three branches, correct? Contact, lead, and none. So this is where we can actually make use of whoId again, and then query the contact object or a lead object to get the corresponding email. So what I'll do is I'll create a new variable. I'm gonna create a variable v underscore I'll just say contact or lead email. That's the name of the variable, and the data type I'll just choose text. I'll just say done. Good. So contact task number one. Let's try to now query the database, and we'll just say get contact email, and we'll just say go to the contact object and find a contact ID equal to get the contact ID from the whoId field or column. So this will bring me, a record, and I don't want to store all the, fields from the contact. Instead, I'm going to use this option, choose fields and assign variables. This is an advanced option which helps you to, minimize, the volume of data that you want to hold in the flow. So I know that I'm interested only in reading the contact email, right? So that's the reason I'm going to use this third option. Yeah. I'll just say where to store values, field values are just separate variables. And I'm going to say ensure that the contact email is stored in the variable which we just created, v underscore contact dot lead email. I'll just say done. That's it. I'm going to repeat the same, for bringing the lead email. So let's click here, and this time again, get records. We'll just say get lead email. So done. And this time go to the lead object, follow the same steps. The ID of the lead should be equal to the task whoId, and then again get the first record and store the email address of the lead into this variable v underscore contact dot lead email. We just say done. So now we have a single variable that can hold either contact or a lead email, right? So once this is done, the final thing what we're going to do is we're going to just going to update the task record, right? So for which we have a ready-made shortcut. We have a ready-made option available, update triggering record. So we'll just say update contact email, contact or lead email. So update the task record that triggered the flow. Yes, this is what I want to do it. So I would like to update the new custom field introduced, right? Contact email underscore underscore C with the value stored in the variable. That's it. We'll just say it done. Perfect. So this is what we're gonna do it. And let's save first. And let's give a name. It's record triggered flow and update contact or lead email on tasks. So just see if this is good. Yes, let's save and let's activate and then test it. Perfect. So let's go back and what we can do now is let's try this. Let's pick a let's choose Ashley James. Yeah, let's choose Ashley James and let's try to create a task for Ashley. Okay, I'm going to create a task and the subject is call and the due date is let's say 24th. And yes, this is a task related to the contact Ashley James, right? Let's see. Cool. So new task is created. Fine. Now let's go to the tasks. Okay. Let's refresh this page. So I see a new task for Ashley, right? So let's try to, bring the new custom field that we created. So it's a contact email, right? Yeah. Let's bring that. Now you can just see this, right? For Ashley James, the contact email is appearing. So in fact, I can able to, so this is a new task created. Even if you update an existing contact, right? This will still work. Okay. And this is precisely, the problem statement was talking about. So an ability to see the corresponding lead or a contact email, right? On the tasks list view, which out of the box is not possible because of the way how task stores the contact ID and lead ID, right, in the polymorphic field, right? So we have to do some little automation right here. We used a flow and then we have written a very simple logic to get this, accomplished. So now, yes. So the objects used task, contact, and lead. And now we are able to see all the details right here. So this also works for lead, so we can test it later. Yeah. So with that, I think yeah. So I hope this is helpful. Thank you.